So we just came out of the holiday season, and I tell you, if I heard this question once, I heard it 100 times. My son wants a bow. Where do I start looking? Hey, I'd like to get my wife a bow so she can shoot with me. What's the right one to pick? I'd like to get into bow hunting. I don't know anything about it. How do I start? There's a lot of different opinions and a lot of different ways to answer those questions. So stay with us, and we're going to try to help you answer that question coming up next on Trinity Wild. Hey everybody, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2024. Santa Claus was good to me, brought me some new equipment, so maybe we can make these videos a little bit better. But what we're going to start with this year is I'm going to do a couple of videos on how to pick the right equipment as far as somebody that's a beginner archer or somebody who's trying to step up to the next level. We have people come in the shop all the time and they look around and they see, they see my bow sitting there, this Hoyt, which is an RX-7 carbon. And this is not a bow you'd start with. Now, surprisingly, people go, yeah, give me that. What do you shoot? Yeah, give me that one. And that's what we fix them up with. Now, by the time you get this rigged out, I mean, you're talking, with what I've got on here, you're talking about, close to $3 grand. I didn't pay $3 grand. I know a guy. And that's with custom strings, that's with everything done to it. So, but you don't have to spend that kind of money to get a bow, enjoy archery, and get out there and hunt and just have a great time. Let's start with the most basic, called the Matthews Genesis. So this bow was designed by Matthews to be used in the NASP, which is the National Archery and School Program. They have state tournaments and then they have a national tournament in Kentucky each year. I've had some nephews participate, tons of my friends and their sons and daughters participated. It's a great thing. So this bow here, this is not a bow you're gonna hunt with. So what you have to ask yourself is a few questions. When your son, your daughter, your wife, your niece or nephew or whatever is interested in getting a bow, you have to think about, what is that bow going to be used for? Is that bow going to be used for targets, or is it going to be used for hunting, or both? So that's going to help that's going to help you decide what level to be at. So if all it is my son, my daughter is just ready to start shooting a bow, they're competitive, I'd love for them to compete, this is a great way to do it. The Matthews Genesis bow, the way this program works, everybody shoots the same bow. Every kid shoots the same bow, the same arrows. They're not allowed to put a sight. They don't put anything more than the flipper rest on there. They're not even allowed to put a knock on the bow. You can't do anything. So they all shoot the same exact bow. What does that do? Well, that makes it really fair. So if one kid is, one kid's the rich kid and he can spend the money on a $3,000 bow, doesn't matter. Everybody shoots the same one. Retail on these is like $189, so they're not terribly expensive. You can get them as a kit as well, where it comes with some arrows, with a quiver, and with an arm guard. But all you need to get started is that right there, a handful of arrows, and just a styrofoam block target. These bows right here max out at a 20-pound holding weight. And there's no adjustments on them. You just hand it around. I'm 6'2" and change. My draw length is about 29.5 to 30, depending on the bow I'm shooting. I can shoot this bow just fine. I can hand it to my daughter, who is, about this tall. I can hand it to my granddaughter, who's about this tall. And then I can hand it to my wife, who's about this tall. So we just hand this bow around. Everybody shoots it, no adjustments, easy peasy. So if just shooting targets and just getting a feel for archery is something that you're interested in, this may be the way to go. So that's number one, the Matthews Genesis. So let's say you've been shooting the Matthews Genesis for a while, or let's say your son or daughter or wife or whatever, whoever you're buying this bow for, they're a little more serious. They've already been hunting, they like hunting, so maybe their commitment level is a little bit higher and they truly want to get a bow to begin hunting with. So you're going to have to step up from that Genesis, and a great place to start is the Mission Hammer. The Mission Hammer is a great starter bow. This bow has been around in a couple of different names for years. It used to be the Mission Craze, and then we had the Craze 2, and now we had the Mission Hammer. What makes this a little step up from the Craze is when you adjusted the draw length All you could adjust it was in 1-inch increments. There are some other bows out there too that are great starter bows. They don't have the adjustability that the Mission Hammer does, because I can adjust it in 1/2-inch increments. And most people are going to fall somewhere between 23 and 24, 24 and 25. And even if not, if they land on 25 now, 6 months from now, he may be at 25 and a half. You know how these kids grow. But that's the great thing about this bow. It's going to grow with them. There's plenty of kids that we've put in this bow at 12 years old. At 17 and 18, they're still shooting it. They're bringing it in to get it tuned, to get new strings put on, to upgrade their sight, to upgrade their rest. This is a bow that they are not going to outgrow anytime soon. There is a little bit, and there is a smaller bow than the Mission Hammer. There's the Mission Radic. Now, the difference between it is a tiny bit smaller, and it's only going to adjust up to 50 pounds. This bow here will go up to 70 pounds. That's a big boy bow. 70 pounds, you can kill anything walking the North American continent with 70 pounds. This bow here comes fully rigged in a package and there's different packages that you can put on, but our package, we run this at $4.99. So that's a pretty standard price that you'll find. You may find a different shop that has a different kind of rest or a different kind of sight or something like that on there. But this bow here, completely rigged out at $4.99. So the adjustability on this bow is crazy. I can go all the way down to a 17-inch draw and all the way up to a 29. So unless your kid is 6'2", we're going to be able to fit pretty much anybody into this bow. So again, check this one out, the Mission Hammer by Mathews. Next up, the big brother to the Hammer is going to be the Switch. Longer axle to axle, but again, it'll go from 70 pounds all the way down to 20 pounds. The draw length now will go all the way up to 30. So this is going to, and you see it's a little bit longer. The Mission Hammer is going to be 28 inches from axle to axle. The Switch is 31 axle to axle. And just like with the Hammer, they come with a package on them. We typically price the package on the Switch at $5.99, so it's $100 more. Again, the prices are going to be all over the place depending on where you are and depending on the type of equipment that you put on the bow. So you can see the camouflage color I was talking about earlier. This is a real, kind of an old style real tree camo, but you can get this in different colors as well. With the Hammer and the Switch, they both adjust exactly the same. They've got limb bolts that you can adjust again from the 70 all the way down to, I think, 15 pounds. Then the draw length is going to be adjusted with a module. It just that module just rotates to the right position. Well, hopefully that's going to give you a good place to start. So let's just wrap up part one right quick. Mathews Genesis, great starter bow. You're only going to shoot targets with that bow. That's not a bow you're going to hunt with, but it's a lot of fun. That's the first bow my son had. We stood out here in the backyard. We had a ball. You're going to be able to find that Mathews Genesis at most places, even your big box stores. You can order them online, so they're pretty easy to get your hands on. Now with the Mission bows, or any other Mathews bow for that matter, that's not going to be the case. You're not going to be able to go into a Walmart or a Bass Pro Shop or anywhere else for that matter. They're only going to deal with the pro shops like what we have here. If you have any questions about these bows, please feel free to shoot me a comment down below. And lastly, before we wrap up, I want to encourage you, try to find a reputable bow shop in your area. I know sometimes it's hard, but most every city, there's going to be at least a halfway decent bow shop in that area. Look online, look at reviews, those kind of things, and find a good reputable bow shop in your area. What I want to beg you to not do, don't go to a pawn shop and buy a $100 bow thinking you're going to be able to bring it to me and have me fit you to it. I can't tell you how many times I've had people come in and say, hey, I bought this bow at a pawn shop. I bought this bow at a garage sale. It was only $100. Yeah, that's really nice. Are you left-handed? No. Well, this is a left-handed bow. What? Yeah, you're about 5'4", am I right? Yeah. Well, this bow is a 30-inch bow. And there's no adjustments. Well, the guy there said you could adjust it. You can adjust the poundage, but I can't adjust the draw. This bow is 35 years old. This bow is older than you. They don't make parts for it anymore. And that's another plus to the Mathews and Mission line. Any bow they've ever made, I can get parts for. Doesn't matter how old, doesn't matter limb, cam, I can always get parts for it. So that's a big plus as well. So that's going to wrap up part one. Hey, come back for part two. We're going to go through some more bows and answer a few more questions. If I didn't touch on your question, put it down below in the comments and let me know, and I'll put it in the next video. Hey, like and subscribe. That's going to help us a lot. We're still a small channel trying to grow. Thanks for staying with us. And like we always say, turn off that computer, shut down that phone, get outside and get wild. Thanks and God bless.